Shalom, Laha Alahayim, peace to the gods. Nawathan, Kal, Halalimla, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Hakwadash, giving all praises to Yahweh in the name Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors unto the elder apostles, elder bishops, and the heads and elders of all the camps of Great Millstone GMS who do well. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered abroad, the house of David, the Bayaf, the water, starting with the 144,000, the governing body in the kingdom to come, 12,000 men, prophets of each tribe of Israel, from Judah on down to Issachar, as well as the remaining multitude, innumerable multitudes scattered abroad, the rest of the hopeful elect, the remnant of men, women, and children outside of the office of a prophet, scattered abroad, including the 1/3 here in Babylon the Great, believing on the gospel, that the Lord's men, the prophets, have given the report. All right. This is your brother Tazapani of the Great Millstone, Washington, D.C. camp. Lord willing, I don't want to rock this out. This is edifying to the elect. Hey, shalom. Shalom to the bros out there, man. Yabashim Yavshah Brakatham. All right. So this is Versan Al-Jara. Okay. We're gonna get about 10 minutes of this video. He does a good breakdown onto what's really going on, because see, you have to be able to filter through the scriptures of what's going on. Matter of fact, let's go get a quick script real quick in the Apocrypha, okay, in Sirach. All right. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, son of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right. So the enemy controls the media. We are in a time where you have to know a great matter and a small matter. Let's go get that real quick. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verse 15. It says, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small. All right. So we have to research. We have to study to show ourselves approved. We have to really, know what's going on, specifically the watchmen of the house of Israel. All right. So that we could correctly give out the true report on what's going on. All right. Pursuant to the scriptures. So I'm making this video because of, brothers know, obviously, of us of the stock of the Great Millstone and the brothers of the Lycan doctrine, that the mark of the beast has to come. So one might, if they kind of, new into this truth, all right, as a babe, which I still consider myself, to a certain degree, we have to be able to understand that there's a heavy psychological operation, all right, on the minds of the people, global theater, so to speak. All right. So you cannot really believe everything, all right, because this devil has left-handed devices, and we shouldn't be ignorant of them, so he don't take advantage of us, because they want people to get on the side of America going to war, and it's nothing for them, all right, to pull the heartstrings of the people in order to give up rights, to do this, use taxpayer money to do this, that, and the third. Okay. But see, the Lord has sent 7,000 men that will not bend the knee to Baal. All right. So, well, one, you have to know, all right, the difference between the holy and the unholy, the clean and the unclean. How to truly worship the Most High, Yahweh B'Ashem Yahushai, all right, compared to all of this pseudo, how would you put it, religions out there, all right, because the scriptures say that we have a pure religion, all right. So without further ado, I'm gonna let this play. I want y'all to really, pay attention to this. Lord willing, is edifying on how he's about to break it down, and then we'll filter it through the scriptures.
To your point, again, people don't have the historical context of the Middle East, all right? They're getting their news from a lot of these influencers on X that have very big audiences, and the resources to push this onto people with fancy emojis and bold characters. I've seen how it works. Let me explain something to you. Let us be realistic about the situation. The mainstream media, which people call fake news, has morphed into social media because they know how to reach people now. And people are that naive to realize what is what and what is really happening because they don't have the historical context.
So you see that? So here of the great, there's a reason. See, if you able to really spiritually filter everything you hear, I've learned this from the beloved, all right, Ra'ash, in my camp, Kasat Magam, man. And he constantly says all things are spiritual, man. So when you listening to a conversation, are you able to, because remember, we're not natural carnal men. We strive continuously to live in the spirit because those that are led by the spirit are the sons of the living power. Because we know we're Israelites, all right? Yah-Shah Allah. He, Yah-Shah, Prince Allah of the power, all right? Also like Jezreel, if I'm not mistaken, Yah-Azar Allah, all right? The seed of the power, which shows you that the literal, you know, that descendant, that lineage, okay, as being, you know, sons of a power, because a prince is obviously a son of a king. But the point here being is that the elder apostles tell you, specifically Elder Apostle Gabar, you have to know the history to understand the mystery. So notice, like he's saying, people is not understanding what's going on right now because they don't know the historical context of what the world ignorantly calls the Middle East, which is Western Asia, all right, West Asia, all right. And you know, I beg to for debate's sake, even though we don't debate over here in Great Millstone, is, you know, for lack of better terms, that there is nobody that knows more historical / prophetical / biblical context, all right, than Hebrew Israelites primarily, One West Israelites primarily, all right, Great Millstone, starting with Elder Apostle Hall on down, okay. So because of that, and through the spirit of the Heavenly Father, through his Son, through the spirit of Yahweh Shai, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, all right, we're able to break things down, know in part, prophesy in part, because we know what the outcome is. And as times is going, we're measuring the time thou diligently in itself, 2 Esdras 9:1. All right. So like he's saying, we have to be aware. Maybe about 10 years ago, you really, really, really was getting things first, all right, on social media. But like you said, now you don't think that Esau knows that knowledge has increased, as it says in the book of Daniel, and that people are going to social media to get their news. So you don't think that there's a reason why TikTok went down and then the next day it went back up and people was looking at it, and it's not in China no more. It's Facebook owns it. It's an Americanized thing now. The algorithm changed. Social media, you're seeing shit that posts about killing niggas, Rap House TV, and Say Cheese, and this and that and the third. All of a sudden, pushing current events and World War III news and shit like that. It's, you know, it's sus. It's mad sus. All right. So we have to be able to vibrate on a higher level, all right, and really be able to see what's going on. The scriptures talk about how he would try to deceive the very elect, if possible, because you can't. All right, so there's going to be major deception going on. Continuing on.
People who talk about the Middle East, I listen to these people. I see them. Okay, I have to shuffle through so much shit just to understand what the trend is selling to people. Okay, I'm from the Middle East. I grew up there. It's nothing like people see it. It's nothing as it's being said. It's staged, 100%. Those nuclear sites that people claim that they were bombed, okay, where's the radiation? Where's the fallout? Because there wasn't anything there to begin with. Just like
now, that's a super fact. So let's just look at it, right? If you're claiming that your bomb is a bunker buster and it's able to bust through a bunker which has who knows how much feet of steel and titanium, you know, walls or whatever it may be, and they are enriching uranium and other unstable elements on the periodic table of elements, because the isotopes do not agree with regular ambient air, and you have to do all of this extra shit to keep it stable, and you blow that shit up. You don't think that there's gonna be fallout? You see what I'm saying? Like what's the shit that happened in Japan? The fucking y'all brothers know, man. The nuclear reactor that went into the Fukushima, right? What is it? 3 Mile Island. You got others, and this and that and the third. This is the same type of understanding. They're trying to make it for WMD, weapons of mass destruction. According to international law, they're able to do nuclear power on a commercial level for their citizens, but not create nuclear weapons, which is two different things. But they're saying, oh, no nuclear power. like we have to really fully understand. Everybody's going to have this and that and the third, but we know ultimately, right? It's all to push towards the mark of the beast. I don't give a fuck what nobody else have to say. You see what I'm saying? Because I give double honors unto the elders that rule well, man. And you could listen to all this alternative media, you feel me? And nobody's talking about, at least to a T. They know that the financial reset is coming, like you see in the title here, but nobody's pushing and saying this is exactly why this is going down. Now you can knock two birds with one stone, right? But at the end of the day, these people are moving to the rhythm, the beat of the international banking families. Period. Point blank. All right.
Like in the past wars, every war has been fabricated to justify the action. And I hate to say this, it's because they want a new world order. And anyone who opposes that new world order will be destroyed. Okay.
So what he just said is in the scriptures, and we're gonna get it. Let's hear it one more time.
Okay. Where's the radiation? Where's the fallout? Because there wasn't anything there to begin with. Just like in the past wars, every war has been fabricated to justify the action. And I hate to say this, it's because they want a new world order. And anyone who opposes that new world order will be destroyed. Okay. And
so boom, right? Now this is in the book of Revelation chapter 13. And there's a reason why these two verses is right above the verses dealing with the mark of the beast. So we're going to go to Revelation 13. And we're going to start at verse 13. Okay. And it reads, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So first, who is this he? All right. This he is talking about the beast that came up out of the earth in verse 11, which is talking about America. It had two horns like a lamb because it was acting like it's for the people, like a lamb, right? But it had two power structures. Horns are symbolic for power, all right, as the ancient Roman Empire, which had the plebeians and the patricians, which is now the Democrats and the Republicans, liberal, conservative, left, right, okay? So when it goes down to say it maketh fire come down from heaven, it's talking about missiles, bombs, specifically, all right, back in the 40s and the 50s, all right, with the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, okay, because at that point, right, when he did that, all the nations feared of America. Verse 14, it says, and deceiveth them. This is how you know it's talking about Esau, the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, because the devil, the so-called white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Devil is just a title, all right, which means false accuser or a deceiver, all right. That also goes into Revelation 20 when it talks about they'll be loose for a little season, all right, because he was, locked up in a sense of not his power structure was hindered, was impeded by the Heavenly Father, so that he deceived the nations no more. All right, talking about how the so-called self-proclaimed white man was going to use deception as a factor through the sword, his blessing, to gain control of the whole earth. Revelation 13 and 14 again, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. So in the sight of NATO, and this is how he got these other nations to sign this treaty, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. All right, he dropped these bombs, and people was like, we want to be on their side, specifically these European Edomites. Okay, It says, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, because the first leg of the Roman Empire fell, and did live, and it came back through the likes of NATO and the EU, with the whore riding that beast, which is NATO and the EU, and the whore is America. Okay, and that image of the beast is what this guy, Vassan Al-Jarrah, is talking about. The New World Order. Look on the back of your dollar bill. Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages, when you translate it directly, which is another way of saying the New World Order. And there's been many New World Orders, but what it's saying is that the inhabited earth, the people that live on it, they're going to create new order. How do you make order? Through law. All right. That's why they say law and order. So they create unrighteous decrees, all right, and enforcing it on the world to create a new a way of living for the slaves that live in their realm, if that makes sense. All right, verse 15 is the point. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So this is what he exactly said, which we're going to play it again. All right. So the whole point of what he's saying is that if you do not, this is literally in the Bible, you would be killed. And when you go into it, you know, at first it was, you know, dealing with, you know, these African and Arab nations. Okay. They didn't want to go in the terms of democracy and, you know, and whatever Esau wants to do and their ideologies and things of that nature. So that's why they've been bombing the shit out of them, you know. But as we're in this time now, the elite completely have sold out in all of these kingdoms. Okay, there's a lot of arranged marriages, interracial, mingling of Esau's seed amongst the elite. This is why they like to say, you know, the good parts of America, I mean, of these, you know, any country is like lighter skinned people, while, you know, people that is struggling in that same country is darker skin. Not to make this thing a skin tone thing, because it has nothing to do with it. But if we could just use phenotype observation, all right, the politicians and the people on TV and this and that and the third in pretty much every country is going to be, you know, lighter compared to the people that actually the real majority average person that live in that country. And that's due to Esau going over, taking over, doing strategic marriages and things of that, and putting himself or his seed in certain positions in the banking industry, in you know, the military industrial complex, in the politician space and things of that nature, so that anytime that they want to push an agenda, all they have to do is just tell their own people that is in that position of power to push, while they're cosplaying like they're from that country when they're not, you know, because that's a big thing. Remember, that's part of the deception. Trying to be something you're not, claiming that you of Gad, a so-called Native American, claiming that you of Judah, a so-called, you know, Judean or whatever it may be, claiming you are, you know, an Arabian, like the elite of the Saudi Arabian kingdom. All right, damn near all Edomites, as well as these others, Iran, China, you know, so on and so forth. All right, continue. Well, let's hear it again.
Radiation. Where's the fallout? Because there wasn't anything there to begin with. Just like in the past wars, every war has been fabricated to justify the action. And I hate to say this. It's because they want a new world order. And anyone who opposes that new world order will be destroyed.
Revelation 13 and 15. And he causes all that don't want to worship the image of the beast, I'm roughly paraphrasing it again, should be killed. And actually, when you go into that word killed as well, it talks about separation, to separate you from the basically from their system. Hence sanctions. They cut Russia off from SWIFT, and Iran and the rest of North Korea and this and that and the third. And remember, Iran is the only one that don't, I think he's going to say it, that don't have a Rothschild owned central bank.
Okay. And Americans believe this is us destroying the deep state, when the whole thing has been financed since back in 2001, just like Afghanistan, just like Iraq, when Scott Ritter went into George Bush's office with Dick Cheney. and said there are no weapons of mass destruction before Jerome Powell was forced and coerced into saying that at the UN when he refused to. You know what happened? Dick Cheney said to Scott Ritter, "I never want to see the sky in my office again." And that's how deep this rabbit hole goes. So again, if we're going to reflect on this, people need to understand the history before they start spewing.
And I posted this on my community too. Notice he said Dick Cheney. He was the one that started the OG Operation Midnight Hammer, which had to deal with martial law in the case of a T attack or anything else, civil uprising. And it just so happens that the same operation name is used for what we're dealing with now. Coincidence? I think not.
Bullshit. And that's the truth. It really upsets me when I have to hear people bombard about the Middle East like this, because I'm from there. It's nothing like people say it is. I grew up there. I was raised there, okay? It's nothing like they're selling it to you. And sadly, I have to say this, and I have to be very careful, but the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia sold out to the World Economic Forum a long time ago, and I reported that in 2021. So what's happening right now is the same damn manipulation that happens every 4 years. Society gets pushed back and forth, laws quietly change, the financial system begins to reshape itself in the shadows of central banks and many other multinational interests. It strips people of their wealth while transferring power upwards. And if you really want to understand, again, you got to stop parroting what the mainstream headlines are saying. And even these new mainstream people on X who have no clue what they're talking about, you have to do your honest research. Read about Libya, read about Iraq, read about Iran and Qatar. 1953, the CIA and Mossad and MI6 overthrew the democratically elected government over there, and they put their own puppets in there. So ever since then, they've been shuffling this shit back and forth with Iran, setting the stage for this war that is now unfolding. People have no idea how deep this goes. So again, learn the history of other nations. Stop allowing nationalism to cloak bigotry. Be realistic about the situation. Stop confusing patriotism with blind obedience. And that's what I see happening here. So I'll leave the conversation with this. But before the recent wave of conflict, even what we talked about is a lot of these governments around the world, it's not just the Prime Minister of Qatar, but many other people kept saying, with all this geopolitical instability, we need a neutral bridge reserve asset.
You see that? So there is Hegelian dialectic, Akim. And yep, the Akim know, but I'm kind of, talking, out loud, thinking out loud, as they like to say, So look, the Prime Minister of Qatar came out, not just now, but like sometime before, and said, with all this instability in West Asia, falsely so-called the Middle East, right, there is a term or a need for what did he say? Let me go.
Governments around the world. It's not just the Prime Minister of Qatar, but many other people kept saying, with all this geopolitical instability, we need a neutral bridge reserve asset.
A neutral bridge reserve asset. Why? Because when this so-called orchestrated war, right, is happening, okay, transportation and goods and shipping, logistics, right, supply chain is going to have major issues. Actual tangible things can't move. So when this happens, money still has to be moved. But how are you going to do that with all the chaos? Therefore, it needs a digital system. That's what he's talking about. This is a digital YouTube channel, dealing with crypto. This has to be the answer to all of these orchestrated skirmishes amongst these people, because remember, war is financed on both sides by the same people. Where are they getting the money from?
We can't coexist with the domination of the US dollar. So the narrative has been set for all of this to happen. And this war, again, this chaos is driving division while the rich get richer. This is the reality, guys. So your friend, the lawyer, needs to do more research. And I don't mean to offend anybody here, but this is it. You can't explain this stuff to people anymore. With AI now pushing all this context on people, you have to do your own research or you're not going to see the truth. And half the people here who see the truth as one way are probably wrong about some of it. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
Well, see, we're not wrong on nothing. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Wakakudash. All right, we got the 100% truth because we know exactly what's to happen, right? Because when you go into it, well, the video, he think, oh, I got water for 2 years. So he think he good. If he was really smart, he wouldn't even be in America because I don't give a fuck how much shit you got in America. You're going to die by the missiles and you're going to take that chip. All right? You know? Because if you a heathen, which I think he is, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say you have a better chance because you're still going into slavery, but like, you know, you think that you're going to somehow survive what's to come by staying in America? Come on now.
So
Yeah.
you're never going to get.
But we of the hopeful elect that is here in Babylon the Great, which is America, we are professing our faith by believing on the scriptures and staying here, even though we know this place is going to be fully destroyed, because we believe that the Lord is going to save us if we're of that number. Lord willing, we're of that number of the elect.
The full truth.
Well, most people have acquiesced their critical thinking. I mean, that is the whole point. I mean, there's a whole generation that gets their affirmation from social media. Their personal self-worth comes from that. So you're literally feeding them like the candy of ego, if there ever was one, you know, in that way. And so, and people will easily yield to those kind of concepts and philosophies because of the affirmation that they receive. It's really a phenomenon it's hard to even fathom. But I mean, you cannot even have honest debate anymore without, you know, being either polarized one side or the other. It's got to be an us and them kind of thing, which is insane. I remember when debate was welcomed. I mean, on our university campuses, that was the whole movement, you know, of the 60s and 70s, was the ability to have the freedom to express, the freedom to think, the freedom to question the narrative. Well, now that you know, it's gone. I mean, you can't even get out on one of these campuses and literally exercise that. You know, there's no more soapboxes going on. And yeah, most of the people have acquiesced their ability to critically think. They think they haven't. But you ask them to describe, okay, what is your apologetic here? What do you believe? Okay, fine. Why do you believe that? And you'll literally practically hear verbatim what is being piped out there on social media and on the Fifth Estate. It's wild.
See, but not the Israelites. All right. And we telling y'all the complete truth. So I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna just, because that's pretty much it. I don't want to make this too long. So a little quick synopsis, man. All right. All of this stuff that's going on here, like I said before, is being orchestrated. They make you look over there when they're doing some things on the. It's called sleight of hand, because they're nothing but warlocks and witches, man. All right. That goes back to left-handed magic, you know. Or magic in general, you know what I'm saying? So because of that, what's going on over here and how he's, like they saying, it stayed. Now all of a sudden, I just seen just now, Trump is brokered a deal between Iran and Israel for some type of ceasefire. All right. So this shit is it's just smoke and mirrors. All right. Now it is a big thing because it's still real. Things are still getting bombed. It's not like there's no CGI or some shit like that, at least from my knowledge. Right. However, we coming into a point where they say never let a good crisis go to waste. So they're gonna use this for the main thing that we know and on a 1,000,000,000% sure has to happen before the missiles fly. Because when the chip is pushed, which is going to happen very soon, because more of these rumors of wars news is happening. All right. The real tensions and things of that nature is going to, because at that point, whatever happens to make these people feel like, fuck it, I'm gonna press the button, fuck everybody, boom, everybody going down. We not in that, they not in that spirit yet. You know, they close, they still working with each other, they still, because I feel like these elite is having these kind of backdoor deal, just like how you got lobbyists here in America and they pay people, congressmen and senate to vote for this and that. I think Esau, specifically Amalek, has did that, and I speak as a man, to all of these elites, and basically like the Kingsman. If y'all remember the Kingsman movie with Samuel L. Jackson, on how they was all given he picked certain people to and promised them some type of bigger status on what was about to come down into the world, right? So the elites got this information before, inside the information before everybody else. They sold out, and then they selling out their country to help destroy it, so that that one world government, so to speak, can come into power, so that they can be in the bureaucrat, the oligarch group, to help rule over the whole world with the ultra elite, but not knowing that they just using them as pawns for real, to really, because then you get into the whole understanding of the house being divided against itself, because these people are fighting amongst each other, But I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Lord willing, I was edifying to the elect, but we start as time goes on. This is why now I'm taking my time to do a lot more research before I even go straight into a video, but through the spirit, however the spirit, moves at a certain time. But good news from afar is like cold waters to a thirsty soul, as it says in Proverbs. So yeah, I get a little hype when I see certain things, Iran did da 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 da. But I want to see that shit pushed, man. So Esau, come on with it, so we can get the fuck up out of here. I feel through the spirit, and I'm a man, but some type of global financial woe is on the horizon, whether it be because of a cyber attack, which honestly, that's what I think is going to be, because of the anonymity. All right, but we will see. We will see. Because I'm watching, like a sentinel, as we supposed to be. All right. And then I'm going to report through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to the best of my ability. All right. So I'm gonna leave off with one scripture. All right, let's go to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, starting at verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, what I shall answer when I am reproved. You see, and the Lord has rebuked and reproved all of his men. And if we have the spirit that resonates with being a prophet, because the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets, all right, we already do. All right, what a prophet is going to do, bear the fruit that a prophet is going to do. We're going to consistently watch and pray, and what does it say in Ezekiel? I'm gonna put these words in my mouth, and warn my people from me. Roughly paraphrasing, and that's what we're doing. Verse 2, and Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushua, answered me and said, write the vision. What I'm doing right now, as y'all Akim and very few Akwath is watching, I'm writing the vision. All right, a digital epistle. It's a record writing digitally, making a video of the prophecies, and to the best of my ability, making it plain upon this table, this digital table. All right, that the ones that's listening to it may run that read it. That's what it said, that he may run that readeth it. You see, so you listen, that you remember the name of the Lord is a strong tower. Right, he that runneth to it is safe. Roughly paraphrasing. So everything that encompasses the names of he is, in the name of he saves. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Verse 3: For the vision, the prophecies is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So this thing is not waiting. So more rumors of wars. This chip gotta come. And we are preparing ourselves for this. It's going to be a vicissitude. Look up the word vicissitude, an unexpected change. So we live in life just like how it is now, and boom, you wake up, or you check ATM don't work, or you know, your online banking don't work, you know, or people was acting funny while you driving to work, or it just, you got that eerie feeling or whatever, and then you really, you know, this is why, you know, it's kind of ironic, but I don't want to say the addiction of the social media, but you know, I use social media on the right hand side, but you can slip into that left hand side with all of the vanity, right, and the folly that's on it. But I'm not going to cap as if right after I do my prayer that I'll, you know, go into social media and scroll a little bit to see what I missed for those, you know, 6, 7, 8 hours, Lord willing, I get 8 hours of sleep. You know what I mean? But you know, just like Elder Pastor always say, you miss one day, you miss a lot, man. And there's a lot of things that is happening now. You know, it's almost you can't keep up. So, you know, Lord willing, I'm trying to the best of my ability to do, you know, what is required of me, you know, staying occupied in these prophecies. You see what I'm saying? Searching out the wisdom of the ancient, you know, and pushing it out there, not giving the Father no rest until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth, like it says in the book of Isaiah. So with that, man, Lord willing, is edifying to the elect. I'm gonna say Yahweh Shem Shah, Barakatham, Bashem Kakwadash, Kal Akiem, Wa Akwath, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Yahweh Shem Shah, Bashem Kakwadash, on to the next one. Shalom.